Your happiness and fulfillment's the most important thing at the end of the day. So again, I think telling someone to stick to one thing is BS. There's no reason why you can't at least try other things. And you don't have to, if you find the one thing that you really, really like, go for it.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jordan Anderson, and welcome to the new series I'm starting where we interview artists and creators. We try to understand their process and the passion behind what it is they do. On this episode, we have Corey Gray. He's a DC photographer who shoots everything from athletics to weddings to concerts, and he's photographed folks like Travis Scott and Billie Eilish. We talk about how Corey got himself into photography, trends with Instagram, and how young photographers can make it in the world today. And now, I present to you Corey Gray. Okay, we're sitting here with Corey Gray. Corey, what is going on? How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. So you were a photographer here in DC. Can you kind of walk us through, or maybe give it like a 5-minute quick intro to who you are and what you've been doing?
Cool. I'm Corey. I am a photographer and videographer based in the Northern Virginia and DC area. I do a wide range of stuff: events, weddings, fitness, modeling, pretty much everything under the sun. I'm about 7 years in for video now, 5 for photography, professionally probably around 4 years. So yeah, I'm, I guess, jack of all trades, master of none, maybe.
And you go to school for photography?
So I did go to George Mason University. I was in the film and video program, but their program is geared towards filmmaking specifically instead of overall content creation. So I took only a few things from that program and was able to apply it to my own, professional career. Great program. It just wasn't what I was looking to do. So, and for photography, I taught myself. So yeah, just kind of learned it through video a little bit.
Okay, you kind of learned the basic elements of design and composition.
Exactly. Framing's generally the same. Composition's the same. Lighting's generally the same as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I learned most of the basics of photography through video.
So were you, right as you got out of college, did you go professional photographer, videographer, or did you kind of find a day job?
I was a teacher, actually. I was teaching from junior year of college through graduation, and then I taught for another year after I graduated. I was doing part-time work on the side, just freelancing, mostly weekends because I was working, full-time Monday through Friday. Just freelancing on weekends. I did that for maybe around a year. It was consistent for probably 6 months. And then the money just wasn't making sense as far as my time and how much I was making opposed to the money I was making working full time. So then it was like that August, about a year after I was out of school, I made the jump into shooting full time. So yeah.
So what, and like, I'm always curious of that moment, like when you make the jump, mm-hmm. Like what was financially it made sense? You had enough work down the pipeline, mm-hmm. or what was kind of the current setup that you had at the time between branding, websites, portfolio, client base? What did all that look like?
So most of my work that I had at the time was modeling stuff. As far as photography goes, I had just started to get into fitness stuff. For video, I was doing random brand stuff here and there, and meal prep company and, different promo videos for different companies here and there. But it was nothing super consistent. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have made the jump when I did. I did have some money saved from my full-time job that, helped give me a cushion after I made the jump. Again, looking back, I probably would have waited longer or increased my business to a certain point. From opposed to when I did actually make the jump, but yeah, I'm here now, so it worked out. But business, I guess the past year has been a lot better from when I first made the jump. I made a lot of mistakes and grew a lot in a short amount of time, so it worked out.
Can you talk about some of those mistakes? What was your first gig that you said I'm going full time? Here we go.
So I do work for the DC Youth Orchestra. It's a nonprofit. Basically have instructors based out of the DC area, and they teach the kids, whichever musical instrument that they want. It's all funded by donations and, the public and stuff like that. Great program. I've been doing work for them for about 3 years. and they do semesters. So at the end of each semester, they'll have a concert series on weekends, and I'll film that. But my first gig my first gig after I made the full-time jump was I had to shoot stuff for their summer camp that they were holding. They wanted footage of that because they were entering, I don't know if it was a grant or a scholarship or something to get more funding for the program. And then they just needed to show what they do for their summer camps as far as teaching the kids music and stuff like that to send the footage in to get more funding. So yeah, that was my first main project that I did post leaving my full-time job.
Any mistakes on that project, or
that one specifically? No.
Okay.
I can go into mistakes.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah.
Let's hear the rookie mistakes.
I don't have an exact order of how things happen, but I do have a small list for you.
Okay.
Not getting deposits for whether it's shoots or video or gigs. I had a couple times where I either just trusted people or it would have been in the best interest for me to secure a deposit, and I didn't do it. And after, one or two times of learning the hard way, even if you're a friend, deposit every single time. Deposits are big. Paying attention to the seasons, which I didn't realize, because, being in the area that we're in, our seasons change opposed to the West Coast where it's warm all the time. Here, for me at least, work tends to drop off mid to late fall, and it's kind of dead through the winter. And then, come March, maybe into April a little bit, it picks back up, and I'm in full swing through October. But I didn't anticipate that, after I made the jump. So when I left, this was July, August. So, I was in my full work mode. I was getting a lot of work. And then a few months later, the well dried up a little bit. And then, luckily, again, I had money saved. I had a little bit of a cushion, but it wasn't something I was prepared for going into that winter.
So you're sitting there December, I'm I got to get a full-time job.
Twiddling my thumbs. Yeah, I did honestly look at, a few different options. I was mostly looking at part-time stuff. I knew after leaving my job, I didn't want to go back to doing that. So, I was still getting work here and there. It just was nothing compared to that previous summer and spring.
And were you able to... And once it kind of turned around January, February, it just naturally picks up.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's literally when the weather gets a little bit warmer, come I would say mid-March. Yeah, it just kind of happens. But, back then I wasn't seeking work. I was waiting for work to come to me. And when I say that, it's kind of unrealistic. I'm just going to sit here and people are going to contact me and, want to give me their money so I can
find my contact page.
Exactly.
Contact here.
Exactly. And, I didn't actively think let me just sit here and wait for people to hit me up. But I wasn't doing the extra work, contacting people, doing market research. I wasn't doing any of that on my own, which is, completely different from what I'm doing now. So I'm seeking out people. A lot of I'm still getting a lot of referral work. I still don't seek out as often as I would like, but that's because I am busy with, referrals and stuff like that, that if I did want to contact other companies, I probably wouldn't have time for them. So then it becomes unprofessional for me to say, hey, I want to talk to you about shooting content for you guys. Maybe we can work out some numbers, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, all right, cool. We have this amount for the budget for this amount of content. When are you free? And I'm like, oh, I'm not. That's I'm saying that's super unprofessional on my end.
A really hot lead comes in and it just, the date scheduling doesn't work, but everything else is there.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's going to be frustrating a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes. So I'm looking at some different options. I've been training a few people under me. I'm contemplating starting a full-fledged production company. I've been giving some, because I started turning away work so much that I wasn't necessarily losing money, but I guess technically I was losing money, but I was turning it away because most of the time I was already booked. So for example, I had a wedding this past Saturday actually, but the DC Youth Orchestra contacted me 2 weeks ago saying that they had a concert coming up. They wanted me to shoot it. I had a deposit secured for this wedding. It's wedding money aside from having a deposit secured. So I obviously had to take that. But last season, I actually had a guy and I trained him on how to shoot, their concert performances. So I trusted him doing it again this time, and he did a great job. So yeah, I'm leaning towards that. So then, so I paid him out of pocket. Once I finish the work for the DC Youth Orchestra, I'll get the rest of my payment. So I'm, spending a little bit of money to pay other people, but I'm still keeping that client, and then I'm still getting paid. I just, because I'm not doing the actual work, I'm not getting the full amount.
So what is kind of the flow pattern for clients that come? It's either through referrals or they find you directly on their website.
I get a lot of Instagram, a lot of DMs, and then a lot of people find me on Instagram, and then they'll end up on my website through the link in my bio. I have my portfolio link there. They explore a little bit, and then they end up on the contact page where I have a form submission. And basically just put in their name, email. I have a option, like a drop-down menu as photo, video, or both. They select which one. They fill out the form, say what they need, and then they just press submit, and it goes straight to my email. So yeah, either Instagram DM, or sometimes I get random emails based off of referrals. Like you had my email, directly because we work together, and you passed off my email. So sometimes I'll get emails direct like that. But other than that, it's mostly Instagram and my portfolio.
And it's like, because Instagram, they've expanded their DM capabilities. It's more like an inbox now. Is that, do you prefer that? I find that I love the Instagram DM.
I love it, and I hate it. I hate it because I try to stay off of Instagram sometimes. I spend too much time on it. And then other times I'll say I'm shooting all day. Let's just say I'm shooting, 2 days in a row. Not really on social media that much while I'm shooting. I'm busy, working. And then, I'll, have some DMs from the past 2 days that I haven't really gotten to. And I'll try to remember to get to them. But sometimes I forget, or sometimes, they end up getting pushed down, stuff like that. So DMs are a little bit hard for me to keep track of. I'm better at keeping track of emails, but I do, I like the option that they have that's the unread tab that you can select. So that helps me a lot. Before that, it was it was a struggle, but that filter option helps me out.
I feel like it's the more it exists, the less it's going to be effective. Or just, you now see people, whether it's influencers or just major Instagram profiles that say, no DMs, please. And then it's just go straight to email. Just by I guess, like you say, just kind of an organizational standpoint.
Right. So I don't get, too many DMs where it's where I have to say no DMs. So it's fine. But I understand why people do it, because even sometimes, I don't have a massive following, but even sometimes I'm just a little.
You just email me, please.
Yeah, exactly. So,
so you say you do kind of most of everything, but a lot of the stuff that stands out to me when I look at your work, from I guess a flair standpoint, but also just how it looks, is the concert stuff. How do you find yourself in the concert scene, shooting these major celebrities, getting in the press booth down front row? How do you how does somebody find their way down there?
So some of it's a little bit of finesse. Some of it's just knowing people. So I've only honestly been shooting concerts for 2 years. I used to reach out to whether it was concert venues or managers or, whoever to get, press or media. I didn't have a portfolio to back it. I had I shot everything else, but I just hadn't shot concerts. So, if you're the manager of an artist and I don't have a concert portfolio, to back up me contacting you, asking for a media pass, you're probably not going to give me one. So what I started doing was, at the concerts I would go to, started using my phone to take pictures. And I would either be close enough where it didn't matter, or I would I would crop out, people's heads or their hands or whatever it was. So it's just the artist and the stage. And believe it or not, it worked. People thought I was shooting concerts, reached out to some managers. They gave me press and media, and yeah, it kind of went from there. I shot Something in the Water a couple weeks ago in Virginia Beach. That was through one of my friends. He's a artist manager. So he has a lot of connects with different artists and stuff like that. He had a friend who somehow got media credentials through an artist that was performing at the festival. He needed someone to help shoot that weekend. So he contacted my friend contacted me. I got the media pass, went down, shot the weekend. Yeah, I had backstage, like the whole nine. Yeah, it was sick.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Do you have to pay for it? Do you have to like just say like, hey, I'm
no,
Chris?
literally, because a lot of times. So when I do concerts, most times I'm not getting paid, but I love, you get in for free, you get to stay the whole show, and then a lot of times, sometimes the manager or the artist directly will want to take you on tour, which can lead to a lot of money, especially like festivals and stuff like that. So there's a lot of opportunities that can come out of it. And I love music. Like music's like one of my passions. So I just enjoy, concerts. And then it's always good to, have that relationship with, some managers of artists, because most of the time, anytime you're trying to get in touch with an artist, it's through the manager anyways. So once you establish, that connection, and I always offer like, hey, I'll send you, the pictures from the show. You guys can use them or not use them, stuff like that. They're still getting something out of it. So it's not just me hitting them up and take.
Yeah, you're like over delivering
Exactly.
a little bit, and
Yep.
let's be like, hey man, this looks
Yep.
awesome. Do you do fashion? Do you do this?
Yep.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So it's all just networking, but
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because recent stuff you had like Travis Scott, you did like a Billie Eilish
Yeah,
concert.
yeah.
Like, how are those?
So Travis Scott was at Something in the Water. I saw Travis Scott at during his Astro World tour in DC a few months ago. That was sick. But Something in the Water was like first year festival. It was run by Pharrell. Like amazing job. Yeah, I have no complaints about it. It was cool seeing Travis Scott again. A lot of the artists there I had seen before or wanted to see. So it was cool. Especially like Travis Scott was like one of the artists I wanted to check off my bucket list. So was Chris Brown. Jay-Z, ended up performing. I never thought I'd, shoot Jay-Z, but that was cool. There's just a lot of people that I wasn't expecting that weren't on the bill for the festival lineup. So it was really cool. Billie Eilish, that was October, November. And she's blown up like a lot since then. It hasn't even been like that long. Yeah. Yeah. And that was at 930 Club. Super sick show to shoot. I got lucky actually. There were 2 shows and they both sold out, but I was still able to get media for it. Yeah, did that. I love those. I have to actually order prints of some of the pictures that I took because I like them so much. But she's a great performer. I think she's coming back soon within the next few months. I'm trying to see her, but
I saw her open for Maggie Rogers like a couple months ago.
Yeah,
that was a good show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then so I saw that next time she's here, she's at the Anthem, a much bigger theater than the 930 Club. So that shows like her growth in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you say you print photos. Do you often print photos, or
funny you mention.
Mainly
starting
digital?
Either tonight or tomorrow morning. So I actually have an active store page on my website where you can order prints from, but it's not attached to my site, if that makes sense. So you can't access it unless you have the direct link. Okay. Just because I haven't linked it to any tabs on my website. So I've sent it to friends and stuff like that. I planned on either tonight or tomorrow posting on Instagram saying I'm offering prints now. I've printed my own work for probably like 2 years now, for family or just like, in my room, around the house, stuff like that. But a lot of people like love my stuff and have asked about it. So it's like, hey, I can make a profit from it, so, some of this stuff. So I might as well just, get some prints done or, offer it at least on my website and see how many inquiries I get.
Dude, that's awesome. Where can we go now? Let's talk about Instagram. Let's talk about social media a little bit. Because that is one, how you seem to get a lot of your work or get seen by a lot of potential customers, potential clients. What do you see trending? I mean, I'm sure you follow other photographers. What do you see trend-wise that is good and bad, that is up on the horizon? What are you seeing now?
Honestly, for photography, I feel like it's kind of in a standstill right now. You saw the trends where it was like, super oversaturated pictures, or then there was a phase where it was like, anytime someone had blue in the picture, it was teal instead of blue. Or you had that orange and teal look for all, filmmaking. Then you had the images where it was, I don't know the proper term, but it's like a moving picture. And basically it's I know that I've seen the camera. It has 4 lenses, and you take a picture, and it kind of shifts
It's like a little 3D
sideways.
effect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So that was a big trend.
Oh, that was like a little Yachty music
Yeah,
video where he
yeah,
did that
exactly.
like 3D
Yep,
effect.
yep. So that was a big trend. I know like ASAP Rocky and certain artists like that started using it a lot. So a lot of photographers started doing it. Then after that, then you started seeing a lot of the cinemagraphs, which is like the picture and like the subject still, but like the background's moving. And then after that, I feel like film is super trendy right now. I personally don't shoot film because kind of expensive. I love the look, but it's more expensive. And I like seeing my work like instantly. I'm pretty impatient. So I think film is the most recent trend. So I don't know what's coming up next. Something I have seen some photographers do is with the Instagram swipe feature, they show like as the first picture, they show like the actual, finalized picture they made. But then, if you swipe, it'll be a picture where it's the original. So you can see the comparison. Or I've also seen where they do the original, but they show, it could be like a time-lapse video of the process of how they got to that final image. So that's something I've seen pretty recently. But I feel like, those are all I forgot one. Rewind a little bit. The neon photography, like everyone was taking pictures of like, signs reflecting on people, like, like open signs and stuff like that at night.
You have to wear the glasses.
Yeah, you wear the glasses so it reflects. That was a big trend too. But I haven't seen any really big trends lately. I would say like the past like 6 months, but those are all big ones that, happened and stuck around for a little while. So we'll see what's next.
And then, and you dabble a little bit in the fitness industry with 413.
Correct.
Is that your clothing brand, or
it's not? So
but you seem to photograph a lot of it.
So I handle all media.
Okay.
So I do all the shoots, all the videos, all content creation. I have access to the page, but I don't handle the posting exactly. I'll get on and I'll post. We do like Music Mondays where it's like a hype workout song, and I'll animate the logo to it. And then Tag Tuesday where it's like a motivational phrase or something. So I'll make those and I'll get on the Instagram and upload them to the stories. But as far as the actual post, I don't do any of the posting, but I handle all content. So all shoots, all editing, all videos, all of that, and I send it off, and then they handle how they post it.
And how'd you get involved with that?
So my good friend Des Jasper, we grew up having mutual friends, but we went to different high schools. We weren't friends directly. Graduated college at the same time, and this is 2015, 2016, and he's always been super into fitness. And I saw that he was posting, videos and stuff like that of him working out on Instagram, but it would just be like his phone against the wall or up against a weight or something like that. And I contacted him one day. I was like, hey, I'm trying to get into fitness. Fitness and media and stuff like that. And I'd love to, shoot some stuff for you if, you need some content. He's like, yeah, absolutely. So we met up one day, shot, and then became best friends after that. And then his brother, Ricky, lives in San Diego. And he saw my stuff from his brother's page. And Ricky came home, back to Virginia for about a week. And he was like, hey, I need some content. Would love for you to shoot it, blah, blah, blah. So I shot Ricky a few times during the week that he was home. And then, at the time, they just had like one tank top. And Ricky made the original tank top he basically wanted a more functional tank top to work out in for himself. Okay. He had made like some T-shirts, just got them screen printed before through his training business. And then a lot of people showed interest in that one tank top. So then he made more colors. It turned into a full-fledged apparel company. And then, they needed some media to put behind it. Because at the time he was just, he posted on his Instagram or posted on his Facebook, and people would just hit him up like, hey, I want to buy one. But there was no image or social media presence. So then, they asked if I'd be interested, and I jumped on it, and here we are.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And with fitness, it's like, on Instagram, it can get kind of repetitive, or like it's all about just like
swipe workout
yoga
videos.
Pants, or just like hot models.
Right.
Like, what's your take on that, or like what is your strategy with it?
Personally, I don't like it. There are people that work out that have different body types. There are people that started working out yesterday. There are people that have been working out consistently for 10 years. Everyone's always at a different place. There are people that work out, for shows and competitions. There are people that work out. Yeah, exactly. There's the like you just mentioned, the whole Fitspo realm. There's people that work out for health reasons. There's people that work out for as a stress reliever. So everyone has their own reason. Everyone's in their own place. What I don't like about it is overall with the fitness industry, there seems to be this image that you have to look this way and act this way. And I know some top people in the fitness industry, and most of the people that I'm friends with are who they are on social media. But I have seen other people that are not. And people in the fitness industry know who those people are, and who's faking when they see their Instagram stories and posts and stuff like that. So I don't like the whole Fitspo thing. I think especially the fitness industry on Instagram is getting incredibly small, and everyone's running out of ideas. A lot of the trends you see everyone eventually doing, and then there'll be a new one, and then people jump on that. But because the industry it's a very big industry, but it's very small because it's so big, if that makes sense. So everyone's kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah. And then, so knowing all that, seeing what's out there, how do you kind of craft the strategy with 413 when it comes to content?
When it comes to content, just diversity. I have a lot of diverse friends, different sizes, shapes, colors, backgrounds, the whole nine. But it's like there's not one physical type of person that works out. There's not one certain personality that works out. There's not a certain race that works out. So it's like, why not diversify how the world actually is? You don't go to a gym and only see one race or like one body type. You see all different kinds of people. So it's like when you see these Fitspos and stuff like that by some of these big brands or just fitness influencers, it's like, okay, cool, that's great, but the average person doesn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like with 413, we want you to be able to see yourself. So, we might not shoot the most fit person. We might not shoot the strongest looking person, but we shoot real people. And that's what people actually relate to. It's like real, like they can, when they look at a picture, it's just a picture on Instagram, but like, they can see themselves. They're not seeing this, Fitspo or, this big time influencer on Instagram that, most people will probably never end up looking like. So it's cool to just, keep it real and show people like, you don't have to look a certain way to, wear these clothes.
Let's switch to actually in the field photographing, let's say whether it's fitness or concerts. We could talk about gear a little bit, but kind of what is when you're in the moment, when you're right behind the eyepiece of the camera, what's going through your mind, or what elements are you thinking of as a photographer?
So I've done fitness a million times over. So I don't really go in with a plan. I just kind of go in and black out and direct. I know what angles to get, especially when it's 413 stuff, because it's product based. So we have to make sure logos are showing and stuff like that. You show the functionality of the product. So it could be something as simple as someone doing jump squats or push-ups or various things like that. Nothing crazy. We don't need someone bench pressing 500 pounds. That's not realistic. But you could do body weight stuff, lightweight stuff,
rubber weights, fake
weights. There you go.
Weights.
Yeah, that too. But as far as my actual process, I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I've done it so many times. It's second nature. So I don't really go in with a process.
Or even posing, or because I think what separates a lot of amateur photographers from professional photographers, and even me, I consider myself an amateur photographer coming from film world. Is trying to pose people,
right?
Or trying to when you're doing a portrait, get them to do, it's always just look cool, or all right,
so posing's
sexy.
a little difficult. A lot of times it depends on what you're trying to either accomplish or accent in that image. When it comes to fitness, for example, is body based. So, when girls are posing, you do want a hip poke to make the butt look bigger. For guys, you might want to have them take a certain angle for their chest look bigger, arms look bigger, stuff like that. Generally, always shoot everyone from a lower angle instead of eye level to give them some height. Especially women. Women on average are, shorter than the average male. But, you can make them look nice and tall if you take a low angle.
Sort of power position.
Exactly. So a lot of times it's just it might not even be an amazing pose or anything, but if you just take the right angle, it can work wonders. And that's just from trial and error and out in the field shooting. And then for me personally, what a lot of people don't know is I do most of the images that I take, I have people move. I love movement. I don't like too much standstill unless it's like, a portrait or something. So I'll have them, walk, and I'll move around the subject. I'll have them walk in like a straight path or something, and I'll move around them. So they can just focus on, walking in their direction. And when I have them do that, I actually have them look in different directions. So then say I have you walk in a straight line and I shoot you from the left side, in front of you and the right side. That's 3 angles right there. And let's say I have you put your head in 3 different positions from like while you're walking, I end up with 9 different shots because you've had your head in 3 different positions from each angle that I shot you. You see what I'm saying? So that's something super simple, adds movement, but then it gives you a lot of different options. And, a certain direction or, certain angle or side or someone looking a certain way might not look right on this person, but on another person it might. So, 9 different options for a single walking, they're walking for like 5 to 10 seconds. Like that's not bad. You have 9 options right there.
And are you thinking about format too when you're shooting this?
When you say format, what do you mean?
Okay, this is vertical, perfect. This is for Instagram story. Okay, we got the wide angle here.
I don't. I generally shoot wide enough where there are options. I also
you'll leave yourself the option to, if we need to crop this.
I normally don't shoot too tight, so there's enough room to crop where necessary. So sometimes we've had pictures that were vertical and we wanted them square, but I left enough space on the top and on the sides for us to be able to crop it square and it looks fine. So I've shot too tight a few times before, and shooting tight doesn't leave you with much wiggle room. But if you shoot wide enough, then you normally have more options.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then once you're done shooting these photos, post-production is pretty simple for you.
So you're
trying to get it out as fast as possible.
Yeah. So normally we plan things out pretty early, so I'm never on like a tight deadline, but I like to get it off of my back. So I upload to my computer, I back it up on an external, upload to Google Drive, send it to them. Des that I mentioned earlier, he's in charge of a lot of like the actual tasks. Ricky's more of like the task manager. Des is more he more so implements the tasks, and he's more of a doer. So I'll send them to both of them just so they can see. And then Des will be the one that sends me, the pictures from the each shoot that he wants edited. So that way, I'm not editing all of them or anything like that. So then he'll send me, X amount of pictures from each shoot, and then I edit them and just send them back, and then they're theirs. They just post as they please.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen some relationships where whether or not there's a money exchange, but they will say, I'll just shoot the photos and hand them off to you to edit. That way it just saves me time as a photographer. Have you ever done something like that, or have you heard of a relationship?
I've been on the opposite end where people have gotten pictures shot by another photographer and wanted me to edit. And I have a distinct editing style. Bright, contrast, color. Those are my 3. And I guess people gravitate towards that style a little bit. So I've had people come to me like, hey, I got these pictures done. Want to see if you can edit. And as a, photographer and video, I'm not an editor per se. So I'm as a overall content creator, I do shooting, I do editing. So I know for me, I can't say 100%, but I might feel some type of way if I gave you your pictures and you got someone else to edit them, unless they were like a professional, like, retoucher or something like that. But so I always tell them, I'm like, hey, I can do it. However, you need to contact the photographer and ask if they're okay with me even touching their work. Because again, I'm a creator myself, so I know, I might feel funny about it on the opposite end.
Are, get a little touchy with it.
Yeah. So,
let's go like a little practical with social media for young photographers trying to start out. How do they, when it comes to creating their content, curating their content, thinking about what photo is the right photo to post, and then going into how to actually post it and get it seen?
Yeah.
Like what
tip number 1 is just shoot. For me, when I was first starting, I got caught up in looking at what other people were doing. And that could be, what they were shooting, style-wise, stuff like that. And if you're in the art because you love the art and you love creation, shoot what you love creating. Because anytime you get caught up on what anyone else is doing, it's not fun anymore. You're not doing it for the art. You're doing it to keep up with everyone else. So in the beginning, when I first started, I was doing did a little bit of modeling shoots, like fashion, but I was doing a lot of portraits because I love portraits. But even then, I was comparing my portraits to this big time photographer that's been doing it for 10 years. And number one is maybe I could come out the gate being better than that photographer, but 9 times out of 10 there's a lot of technical stuff I still have to learn and stuff like that. So I just, in the beginning, I got caught up like looking at other people. So I would just anyone that's just starting, I would tell them, do what you want to do and don't get caught up on looking at everyone else around you. And especially hard with social media because it's kind of in your face all the time. So I remember I took it upon myself to unfollow a lot of photographers just so I wouldn't see, I wasn't ingesting as much media.
Yeah, even to some degree, I bet your friends, or like people that you personally know, like if you see their work, you're like, oh well, we're the same age, we had the same growing up. Right. Why am I not doing
right? So, and that's something I struggled with as well. Was like, I had at the time I didn't know that many photographers and videographers, but there's a couple that I know now, and I love their work. And I think if I knew them earlier, I might have been comparing myself in my work to theirs, but now it's just support. I'm like, hey, I'll see shots that I would have never thought of, or editing styles that aren't my style, and I'm just like, yo, this work is sick. But it's not like me like comparing myself. But I think if it were in an earlier phase in my life, then I would probably be comparing, which is never good. It's good when you're trying to grow, but when you're comparing to critique yourself, I don't think it's good because you can get caught up on other people's stuff and lose your own work.
Yeah, or you find yourself starting to try to imitate that.
Exactly.
And then you develop your own style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are my two.
Don't follow your heroes. Shoot a lot.
Limit how many heroes you follow. And then find your style. It's hard. When I was first starting, there weren't the whole trend, like the photo trends that we were just speaking about earlier. Now there's it seems like every few months there's a certain trend, whether it's color, brightness, darkness, contrast, messing with curves, flat black, stuff like that. So I kind of feel for the people that are starting now, because if I just picked up a camera yesterday and I hop on Instagram, like, oh, everyone's doing like neon light photography, I need to do neon light photography. But for me, I've never done it because it doesn't interest me. I think it looks cool, but it's not my thing. But someone that's just starting and they think, oh, they have to do what everyone's doing on social media, they can get kind of lost, and you can end up either hating photography, which sucks that's a even possibility for someone. But you just gotta kind of shoot what you want to shoot. If you love shooting dogs, stick to shooting dogs. And as far as social media goes, post what you want to post. It took me a while, oh, I wonder if people will like this picture, oh, I wonder if I should use this picture instead of this one. And it's I just got to a point where it's I don't care, this is my Instagram, I'm gonna post what I want to post, and the people that like it will literally press the like button, or they'll keep scrolling, or as far as followers, I don't get caught up on followers. People follow my page if they like my work. It's just, again, it's hard because everything's social media based now, but
it's either say just oh yeah, find your style, or just post what you
like. And it took me a long time to find my style too,
yeah.
But I found it and been running with it since. I think that's why, it's good to find your style and then stick to your style instead of following the trends, because people will go to you for that style. I've had people go to me specifically, and they'll say, whether it's in their email, their DM, or in person while we're shooting, I picked you because I love your bright and colorful style. But it's my framing might not be as good as someone else. My overall style might not be as good, but my editing style, they love, my editing style. So that's why they came to me. But if I shot the guy next door, they probably wouldn't have come to me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about, back up just a little bit, about, you talked about being a jack of all trades. I just remember either reading, there's always just something in the air about photography. It's find a single thing. If you're going to be a wedding photographer, that's it. Don't shoot fitness. Don't shoot concerts. How do you see that? How do you see?
I think it's BS.
5 years ago, that thought versus now.
I think there's varying answers. I think professionally, that could be true, but it depends on what you want to do. For example, you could say, aside from certain styles or genres of photography, you can say, hey, if you're going to do photography, don't do video. But I do both. Like you said, you obviously, are a filmmaker, but you're dabbling in photography now. The two kind of go hand in hand. So to tell people to stick to one is kind of unrealistic, especially like now you have so many people that are becoming content creators and filmmakers and videographers and photographers, and art is just growing. I feel like, art is expressive and it's open. So to limit someone to, either photo or video or a certain genre within photography is kind of like contradicting art itself. For me, when I was first starting photography, I enjoyed it, but I didn't know what I wanted to get into. So I tried everything. And then through that, I realized what I didn't like and what I did like. So, say you think you want to be a wedding photographer, you've been doing weddings for 30 years, right? Say you're, at 50 years old, you're like, hey, I want to try, I don't know, portraits, right? And you have a portrait session and you love portraits, but you spent the last 30 years of your life doing weddings and you didn't really like weddings, but it was just like, oh, I was told I have to stick to one thing. So I jumped into weddings and I've been doing weddings since. Monetarily, it's probably great because, wedding money is good money, but, your happiness and fulfillment's the most important thing at the end of the day. So again, I think telling someone to stick to one thing is BS. There's no reason why you can't at least try other things. And you don't have to, if you find the one thing that you really, really like, go for it. But again, for me, I dabbled in a lot of different things and I hated few and I liked a lot. So, it didn't hurt. I feel like you can only help. It only helps by, getting more experience and trying different things and experimenting.
Yeah, that makes yeah. I mean, you could definitely drill down on a single genre, make a lot of money, become the industry leader in there.
Right, exactly.
But like you said,
exactly.
You might find out that you want to do car photography or travel photography. Yeah.
But then again, it's like
you put yourself in a little box.
Yeah. So like weddings, for example, right? Like say you don't do any destination weddings. Say you're a Virginia, DC, Maryland area wedding photographer, right? You're only getting work May, maybe April, maybe a little bit in April. You probably have a busy May, maybe a little bit in June, probably nothing in July, nothing in August, and then you'll have an insane September and October, and then maybe a little bit in November. But come December, January, February, March, you're like, you're not getting any work. But it's because, you decided to do wedding photography and you didn't dabble in anything else. So people aren't getting married. So it's like, during those cold months when people, don't have weddings, you're, sitting around watching paint dry because you don't have any work coming in because you stuck to one thing.
That makes sense. What do you do when you don't have work coming in? When you were starting out early and you said you were sitting on your hands, what can you do? Is it content creation? Is it reaching out to just random strangers, cold calling?
So if you're trying to get more work, you can do a couple things. First, if you don't have a strong portfolio, you can rebuild your portfolio during that month, 2 months, 3 months. And when I say build it, you can redo your website. But aside from what your website looks like, the content is what's most important. So if you have, weak shots, or say you've improved over the past year, 2 years, and you haven't updated your website, you have the same images on there. Wipe the old ones, put the new ones up that you've shot, and spend time during those slower months, really like working on your craft. Doing trade work, free work, hit up some friends, hit up a couple companies and offer free work that, could be a portfolio builder. So say, for example, you want to get into food photography, hit up a local restaurant, ask if you take pictures of their food, offer the pictures to them for their social media, for their, menu, whatever they want to use. And you get the content on your website. Now you can hit up more restaurants, come spring and be like, hey, this is my food photography portfolio. Right. But if you didn't spend that time in the winter when it was slower doing that, free work, then, you wouldn't be getting that work in the spring. So then it's like, you might have done a free shoot, but then you can contact, 50 restaurants, let's say, 10% of them hire you. Like that's a good return. So continuing to shoot during the slower months, revisit. You don't have to redo your portfolio, but you can at least revisit it and critique yourself. Yeah. And then just a lot of networking. Like even if there's been a lot of times I've met people and exchanged contact information, they didn't need anything then, but they've contacted me 2 months later, 6 months later, a year later, and hey, we met at blah, blah, blah. You gave me your contact information. I need some pictures for this, that, and that. And, I remember our conversation. I checked out your portfolio, love your work. I want to see if you're free on X date. So, you can do a lot of network even if work isn't coming in, because that leads to work down the road.
What about working for another photographer? Like, go be their assistant for the day.
So when I was doing,
freelance
when I first got into weddings, actually, so I got pigeonholed. I first got into weddings through video. Continued getting booked for video, but then I couldn't get booked for wedding photography because I didn't have a wedding photography portfolio. So I would talk to people looking for wedding photographers, like, hey, I do weddings. And like, all right, cool, send me your portfolio, but it's wedding videos. Like, you know what I'm saying? But video and photography are very similar, but very different. And a wedding is arguably the most important day of any couple's life. So they're not going to trust someone that doesn't have the work to back up to handle, a day of that magnitude. So I got pigeonholed into doing video. So what I started doing was during the downtime that I had during video, during weddings, when the wedding photographers would be shooting, whether it's the bridal party, the couple during their cocktail hour, just any downtime that I had, instead of chilling or grabbing a drink or talking to people, I would stick with the photographer and the couple or whoever they were shooting, and I would take pictures. Sometimes, sometimes I was taking them from the side.
Like piggyback a little bit.
Yeah. So it'd be like a posed shot, and they'd be facing straight up with the photographer, and I'd be off to the side, and it looks like a candid shot, especially like if they're leaning in for a kiss or looking at each other smiling. It looks like they're just in a moment, and you don't have to have that straight up shot. There were other times where the photographer would shoot up high, maybe standing on a chair or ladder. I'd be under the ladder shooting, getting the straight angle, or vice versa. If they were low and there was like a chair nearby, I would stand on the chair, shoot above. And I always ask the photographer, ahead of time, hey, is it cool if I shoot around you? None of them, I mean, I'm sure some of them say no, but the ones that I've worked with have been nice enough to, say yes, it's not a problem. If they're, on the ground or something, there's a chair nearby, I'll stand on a chair, and it's pretty much the same shot. You're shooting above them. You're not in their shot. People are still looking the same direction. But again, you can still get the ones from the side, get the candid looking ones. So then I built so I did that. And then I was second photographer for this one woman for an entire fall. So about 3 months, she probably shot like 12 weddings. Yeah. And literally like in that one, season, those 3 months, I had a full wedding portfolio. Yeah. She was paying me. So I was making somewhere between 25 and 50 an hour. So not insane money. But I was getting paid nonetheless, and I was getting a lot of experience, and I was building we shot some really nice weddings, built my portfolio, looked super professional. So now I offer photo and video. Yeah. So, don't be afraid to learn from other people. Don't be afraid to, potentially take a pay cut or not get paid if you're really trying to learn something. Yeah, that's my advice. Like, I wouldn't be doing as many weddings now as I am if I didn't, train under her for that one season. So, was that my hourly? No. Was that how much I would charge for a wedding? No. But I was her second photographer. I learned a lot from her. And again, it was still money in my pocket, so I didn't take a loss anywhere.
Right on. Well, cool. I mean, we covered a lot here. Anything else you want to say? Anything you want else to add to this?
I just think that anyone that wants to get into, like, it's never too late to pick up a camera. There are a lot of tools out there to learn stuff. If you seek them, I'm subscribed to a few YouTubers that, they're professionals. I'm a professional. I'm shooting full time, and I still learn stuff from, their videos. You can never stop learning. I think if you're hungry enough, you can make it happen. And the biggest thing that I had to learn and get over was don't be afraid to reach out to people, whether it's a DM or an email. Anytime it's a company, I would suggest emailing. You can. I sometimes follow up with a DM. Some companies are super active on social media. Some have a social media page but aren't that active on it. Emails are just super, super professional. And normally I'll just send the email first, and then I'll shoot a DM and say, hey, my name is, Corey Gray. Shot you guys an email a little while ago. Just wanted to circle back and follow up on Instagram as well, just in case, you guys missed the email, something like that. It doesn't have to be those exact words, but yeah, I've had companies actually hit me up directly on Instagram. They didn't email me, nothing like that. They contacted me on Instagram. So, people think that hitting up companies on Instagram isn't professional, but companies are doing it to people. So there's no problem with it. But I would suggest, if you can find a company email, to do send an email anyways. And then as far as like if you're trying to work with certain people, just shoot a DM. If they have an email, in their bio, shoot them an email as well. The two worst things that they can do. The first is they can say no, and the second is they could just not respond. Neither one of those are really bad situations. So there's a good chance of them saying yes, and especially if you're trying to build a portfolio, a lot of people want free content. And then networking as well. You keep in touch with those people, those companies. And so, for example, like one guy I reached out to a few months ago, I'm not going to name drop, but he owns like several companies in the Arlington and DC area. And I reached out to him, I'm like, hey, I'd love to shoot some content for your, one of your companies, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, cool. I'll let you know. And then hadn't heard from him in like a month. And then I saw that one of his companies was opening. I was like, hey, just a reminder, no pressure, but if you need someone to, shoot some stuff for you, let me know. Shot their soft opening. The staff there loved my work, and he did as well. Rehired me to shoot content for them. And then that was at one of his businesses. I've shot like 3 of his other businesses on a consistent basis. And then there's a guy I have a call with later today. I'm not going to name drop either because I don't know how it's going to go, but he found me through this guy. Has a big food blog, like one of the biggest food pages in the DC area. He has a massive page. And he, we're supposed to jump on a call and talk about, potentially working together for some video content. So it's like, if I never hit up that one guy that was the owner of those other companies, then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to shoot those other companies or even get on a call with this guy later. So it's all about networking, and just like, don't be afraid to follow up with people and hit them up a second time. Sometimes people are too busy and they don't see it. Sometimes people forget about you, but I hit them up a month later and was like, hey, kind of, hey, I'm still here. Not exactly that, but kind of reminding him that I am still here, and
being persistent.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a fine line between persistence and annoyance. So as long as you're being professional and you aren't hitting someone up every single day, there's nothing wrong with it. So I would say, networking, and don't be afraid to either try new things or reach out to people.
Right on. Well, Corey, thanks for coming on the podcast. Where can we find your work? Website?
Instagram is Corey A. Gray, CoreyaGray, and then my website is the same, just ensign.com.
Right on. Cool, man. Thanks for
having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, guys. This has been Season 1, Episode 1. For more information about Corey, check the show notes or head over to jordanpanderson.com/blog.